That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. These are the words of Neil Armstrong, captain of the Apollo 11 mission to send man to the moon. NASA has honored Neil for his work and has released the flight logs and transcripts of the Apollo 11 mission. Our moon has captivated our ancestors for thousands of years. Poems, plays, and folklore have been written about it. It has been described as a beautiful lover or a compassionate mother. Neil Armstrong began his career as a Navy pilot before walking the moon and pushing to further space exploration. Neil Armstrong completed the greatest accomplishment by man, to leave the bonds of Earth and touch the moon. Early in life, Neil grew up in Ohio. Biography.com states that at the age of 7, he flew in an airplane for the first time. That is where he fell in love with aircraft and aeronautics. He learned to fly before he could even drive at the age of 16, and he went to school in 1949 on a Navy scholarship. He went to school as an engineer and Navy pilot, where he eventually joined the Navy to become a test pilot and combat pilot. He served in the Korean War on 78 combat missions and test flew hundreds of different aircraft back home for the Navy. After the Navy, he signed on as a civilian test pilot to the organization that became NASA. That organization was the NACA. In NASA, he was an engineer, research pilot, and administrator. He tested hundreds of aircraft again, and the most famous being the 4,000-mile-an-hour X-15, which he flew in California. He was the captain of Gemini 8, which was when the first successful space docking happened in orbit, and he was later asked to be the captain of the Apollo 11 mission. The Apollo 11 mission was the mission to send man to the moon. It was started due to the Soviet space race, where the USSR and the United States were competing to be world superpowers. The Soviets and the Americans were fighting to have the first to send things to space or get orbits or send man to the moon. The Soviets sent the first man to space and the first satellites, but the United States managed to get the first man to the moon. It was a highly televised event, and it drew 500,000 people viewing. It took them 3 days to reach the moon from the Earth, where they stayed for less than a day, and it took them 3 days to get back. Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong went into the lunar lander and tried to land the moon. The landing was not where they were planning on landing, as the location that they designated was filled with boulders and other rocks that made landing impossible. As such, Neil Armstrong had to find a new landing location at the last second. When they finally did land, he found that he only had 1% of their landing fuel remaining, which came to about 30 seconds of flight time. He landed down and stated the famous statement, "The Eagle has landed." He was the first man to leave the moon, and as he left the moon, that is where he made his one small step statement. Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong spent hours collecting samples and pictures, photographing everything from rock formations to even their own footprints. They left few things behind, including an American flag, a plaque to honor the Apollo 1 mission, and a plaque commemorating the event that they partook in. On that plaque, it said, "Here is where Americans touched Earth for the first time, exploring the world in peace." He continued to work in NASA when they came back as Deputy Associate Administrator for Aeronautics until he left. When they landed, they had to be quarantined for 3 weeks, but when they reached the United States, they were hailed as heroes and celebrities. They had parades and many award ceremonies. Neil Armstrong himself earned a Congressional Medal of Honor. After he left NASA in '71, he began teaching. He taught engineering for 8 years in the University of Cincinnati. And after he left that, he became an entrepreneur. He bought a farm in Ohio and became a CEO for several businesses, ranging from engineering to aeronautics focuses. Although he was extremely camera shy, he spoke to Congress about the NASA budget during the Obama administration and often spoke out in favor of space exploration. Armstrong passed away on August 25th, 2012 from complications due to cardiovascular procedures. He was 82. Neil Armstrong was many things in life, from a talented Navy airman to the first man to walk the moon. When we look at the moon, we know that humans have touched it. Armstrong has inspired thousands of people and an entire generation of Americans to search for the stars. He helped push for space exploration and all sorts of their funding needs through his life and even into his death. In the future, we have plans of landing on Mars. We've sent probes out of our solar system, and we even hope to set up colonies soon in the future. Many astronauts today will think of Neil Armstrong as their inspiration.